All right, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. My subscriber said, SouFlo, please do a story on Dr. Jephthah Ford's findings of the young soldier who recently lost his life on an operation. And I want everybody to understand, first of all, that this is the same Dr. Jephthah Ford whose former employee beat him with a machete and robbed him of $12,600, and that guy was at the time serving, I think he got 9 months in prison for that altercation with Dr. Ford. Apparently, Dr. Ford claimed to have owed him $7,000. However, he wasn't paying up the money, and the man came to collect. This is the same Dr. Jephthah Ford that went to prison or was sentenced to 6 months in prison on a bribery case. So he was accused of bribing a police officer or trying to bribe a police officer after the officers had seized about $533,886 US dollars and about 1.3 million Jamaican dollars in cash. And he is said to have been caught even telling the officer what portion of the $533,000 he wants and all that other stuff. Now, fast forward to the story that they want me to cover. So, popular medical practitioner, as it was recently posted in the Jamaica Observer, popular medical practitioner Dr. Jephthah Ford is claiming that the bullets which killed 21-year-old Jamaica Defense Force or JDF Private Reneo King came from a weapon belonging to the JDF. Now, you got to understand that when the news is reported, written, or said, TVJ, CVM, or through like Observer, Star, Gleaner, Loop, etc., whether it's written form or spoken form, people that are outside of the situation, all we hear or see is, oh, damn, a soldier, bad man kill a soldier, war start now. Well, apparently the family of that soldier had hired Dr. Jephthah Ford to do some work on his own to give them some closure. They want to know exactly how their family member died. Now, King was part of the Joint Police Military Team, and they were deployed to a location on September 24th of 2020 in Milk River, Clarendon on a narcotics operation. That is where 2,900 pounds of marijuana and a boat were seized. It was reported that while conducting the search, the team came under fire from gunmen, and during the firefight, Private King was shot and injured. At the time, the JDF reported that the joint team provided first aid to King before he was airlifted to Maypen Hospital and then subsequently to the University Hospital of the West Indies, where he succumbed to his injury. However, Dr. Ford, who said that he was asked by Private King's family for assistance, he has came out publicly challenging some aspects of the JDF's report. One of the big parts that he is challenging is whose bullet killed the soldier. He told the Jamaica Observer that after observing the post-mortem, which was conducted last Monday, he was satisfied that King was shot by a member of the JDF. Now, this is a big claim. This is a huge claim that he was shot by a member of the JDF. In the military, we call this fracturicide. Fracturicide is when you go on a military operation or you cross the path then of your fellow soldier's weapon and you got shot by your fellow soldier. Their weapon somehow ended up shooting you. So, or in other words, then it's called friendly fire. And this happens quite often, more often than we probably know. It can happen in training, under live fire exercises, or it can happen in real life operations. That is why training is so important, and they stress safety when going through your training. But of course, in the middle of a firefight when you don't know where bullets are coming from and you are sure that these bullets aren't coming from your side, then a lot of that training goes out the window. In other words, we have a saying in the U.S. Army that says, you better have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. In other words, you better have a plan and you better have a backup plan, and then you better have a plan to back up your backup plan. Because when pardon my language, but when the shit hits the fan, right, all that stuff goes out the window. So this doctor has made this claim, and I wanted to know, what exactly did Dr. Jephthah Ford find to make him say that this soldier died at the hands of his own colleagues? He also said that the postmortem found that the entry and exit wound of King's body were consistent with that of the M4 rifle. Now I said to myself, if this is all he is based, I hope this is not all he's basing it on, because soldiers have M4s, badmen have M4s also, gunmen carry M4s also. We've seen pictures of wanted gunmen carrying M4s. So we know that this is not a gun that is exclusive only to the JDF. Okay, an M4 is a rifle that is used by the JDF. This is what he said. However, he admitted that he had never seen a M4 wound in his field before, or in any gunshot with badman. He said he has never seen a M4 wound, but he knows that the M4, but he knows that King had actually died by a M4 that came from JDF officers. Now, this has left a lot of people speculating, because I'm on social media, different forums, Instagram, wherever this is posted, Facebook, and on Google itself. And on some of these comment sections, you have regular civilians that are commenting, and these regular civilians are all out saying things like this. Now the conspiracy theory starts. Yep, I bet he saw something that he wasn't supposed to see. He's a young soldier. He's not seasoned yet. He wasn't brought into the fold yet. He wasn't put on to the criminal activities yet. What these soldiers do for their extra cash. I've seen other comments that said, I bet they were protecting their drug dealer friends, their gunman friends, and for some reason, the young soldier, King, ended up on the operation with these guys, and they didn't want him to see certain things, so they had to silence him, get rid of him. So with this doctor's finding, or with this doctor's public message saying that the bullet that killed King came from the JDF soldier's gun, this has opened up the door to these conspiracies. So you have to understand what his comments are causing. Not only that, I can only imagine that if the family had employed Dr. Ford to find things for them and he had found nothing, then it would be like him being paid. I don't know if he was paid or if he is doing this for free. But is this a way to get back into public eye or strike up some kind of controversy? Because people chase fame. And Dr. Ford is pretty decorated when it comes to fame, as I explained in the earlier part of this video, right? With being beaten and robbed by one of his former employees and a medical doctor who was actually sentenced to time in lockup. So he said the family contacted me and said that they would like to know if there are other circumstances they don't know about, and if I could look at it, identify the cause of his death, or so they can be properly satisfied, he said. The family lawyer also wrote to me, hence my interest. This is what Dr. Ford told Sunday Observer. Now, amidst his pronouncements, Dr. Ford said that he observed a number of irregularities on the body and in the form submitted by UHWI, that's the University of the West Indies hospitals, during the post-mortem. He is saying that there are a number of irregularities. Now, he did not stop right there at saying it was a JDF soldier's gun that killed a fellow soldier, which is a huge claim. But he went further. He went further to say that no resuscitative measures were taken. In other words, nobody tried to revive the soldier, to resuscitate the soldier. No CPR, no medical procedures, no IV, no blood transfusion, none of that stuff was done to try to save him. Now, in proceeding with the postmortem, Dr. Ford said that the deceased man's face had been so decomposed that he could only be identified by his mother and his sister based on the characteristics of his body. Further, Dr. Ford said that the findings indicate that part of the strong likelihood of bullet belonging to the JDF weapon, there was also negligence on the part of the JDF, as the soldier was not wearing a helmet and that no one on the operation knew how to administer first aid to the wounded man. I am waiting for the proof for this, because being a soldier myself, I know the extensive training that we went through, but I was a soldier in the U.S. Army. I am willing to bet, though, that it is probably so also with the Jamaican soldiers, that every soldier is trained in emergency first aid procedures, and not only just the basics to pump somebody's chest and breathe and give them basic CPR, but we're trained a bit beyond that. We get combat lifesaver training, right? That means if a leg is blown off, you as a soldier, you should know what to do next. You understand? So I find it very crazy that a part of his claim that the JDF bullet killed the soldier has now been bolstered by another claim that no resuscitative measures were taken, which further feeds the people who are saying, yep, something shady went on there for sure. Kill him, because he saw stuff he wasn't supposed to see. Because why else would one of your own get shot and it is from one of your guns, and also you did not even try to resuscitate him? But all these claims that this doctor is making, all these claims have been refuted. The University of the West Indies Hospital is refuting his claim, and they are saying that they did go through all the procedures that he is claiming that they did not. The findings, firstly, were that if the soldier were wearing a helmet, he would not have died. That's one of them. So he is putting blame on whoever is in charge of that team that went in there. I was a team leader in the Army, so I know that my guys under me going into any mission, this is what a team leader does. You're responsible for every single thing on your soldiers, for the fact that they're well trained, that your team moves like one unit, everybody is together on the same page. That includes even physical fitness, that includes mental mind state, that includes knowing the drills and procedures, that includes every single thing a team leader is responsible for. That includes a bootlace being tied or untied, uniformity. That includes every single thing. So if this soldier ended up on this type of operation without his headgear, as we call it, and for those of you who probably think that, is a helmet, gunshot will fly through it, there are ballistic helmets that we use. That's what it's called. And these ballistic helmets are actually designed to stop or deflect rounds from guns. Now, I don't know about an AK-47 at close-up range or anything like that. It might not be able to stop that, but it will probably be able to stop if someone is firing on you from a distance with a smaller caliber weapon. So, at some level, it gives protection to the head, right? And he is saying that they went wrong right there already from the beginning, because if he was wearing his helmet, according to the angle of where the bullet entered and exited, that he would not have died. So that right there is wrong. It entered and left at the top of his head. Within the scope of the head, he said, if he was issued with a helmet and wearing a helmet, he would not have died. I have since then noticed the chief of staff, and I get to understand that instructions have been given to the entire JDF that they do not go on operations without a helmet. This is what Dr. Ford said. He also said, I also noticed that he died from copious blood loss. And I said that it is impossible that they can send a team of soldiers into the field without even one person trained in first aid of such that they could stop a bleeding. And this tells you the incompetence on the part of the JDF. So he is blaming the JDF for not making sure that the soldier had on his helmet. He is blaming the JDF for actually shooting the soldier. And now it could be accidental, or it could also be just as it is, what the conspiracy theory says. Whichever one you want to believe, I want to see proof that refutes. You understand? So this is where we're at with it. He's also saying that no first aid. Nobody on the JDF team that went with the soldier was trained in first aid. I haven't heard the JDF respond to this yet, but I am waiting to hear what they say. Is it true that the soldier was not wearing a helmet on this operation? Is it also true that he was with a group of other soldiers and none of them are trained in first aid, such as how to stop heavy bleeding from whatever the cause may be? He also claimed that the post-mortem suggested that there was no effort made at the UHWI to resuscitate King. So not only did he throw the JDF under the bus, he has also thrown the hospital under the bus by saying that no efforts were made, according to his finding, to resuscitate King. And it seems an assumption of inevitable death was made because of the entry and exit head wounds. So in other words, he was saying that, well, they saw his head wound and they said, well, him dead because nobody can survive that. And they just left him. They didn't do the resuscitative measures, even at the hospital. The medical practitioner said that he has written to the Prime Minister, the Chief of Defense Staff, and UHWI regarding his observations, and he expects an inquiry into the death of Private King. He said that the post-mortem was also observed by the Independent Commission of Investigation, and a file was sent to the Forensic Department, which he expects will demand the original docket from the hospital to determine what took place. Now, describing the findings as heart-wrenching, Ford said that based on conversations with Private King's family, it was his dream to become a soldier, and his untimely death, compounded with what he observed in the post-mortem, had saddened immediate family members. It's a shame because this is a young boy who has always wanted to be a soldier. If you look at his school years, he did everything to be a soldier. It is a crying shame. This was somebody who was willing to serve, Dr. Ford said. Now, asked to respond to Ford claims, the JDF said that the matter regarding Private King's death is currently still being investigated by the JDF, the police, and Indicom. As a result, it is not willing to comment at this time. That's right there. So Indicom is on this. JDF is on this, doing their own investigation, which I find would be quite funny because you are being accused. That's asking an accused murderer to investigate himself and give you the findings. Isn't that what this is? Anyhow, it all seems weird to me, and all we can do at this point is wait for some results to come forward. We're waiting for the results from the JDF findings to come forward. Is the JDF going to come forward and say, okay, based on our own investigation and our own findings, it is with great apologies that we come forward. These things do happen, although very few times, and it's tragic, but our fellow soldier, King, was killed at the hands of or from one of our guns. I don't see the JDF coming out to say we fratricided and killed one of our own. You're talking about family lawsuit, liabilities, all other kind of stuff, right? And not only that, but just the admission of guilt alone. We've known that a lot of these entities are not good at. That's like the police department coming and saying, we were wrong and we did the wrong thing and we apologize, but somebody is dead. We very rarely ever see anything like that happen. So it'd be interesting to hear the findings of the JDF, even though we know that it's highly unlikely. First of all, just the fact that they are accused and then they are the ones who are investigating themselves. I would not incriminate myself if I was allowed to investigate myself. However, let's see what the JDF finding says. Let's see what Indicom finding says. And then let's see how all these different investigations add up to the information that Dr. Ford has released. Medical consultant and senior legal officer at the hospital, University of the West Indies Hospital, Dr. Peter Glegg, he promised a response on the situation upon completion of an internal investigation regarding how events pertaining to Private King unfolded. Some people are saying don't look at the doctor's past. Don't look at the fact that he owed one of his employees like $7,000, he said, but the employee chose to take a machete and beat him up and rob him of $12,000 and change. Don't look at the fact that he was caught in a bribery case where he attempted to bribe a law enforcement official and he was found guilty to some degree and he was sentenced to time in lockup. Don't look at all these things. Look at his medical expertise, capabilities, where he is now and what he is saying right now. A lot of people are having a hard time doing that because there are people that are saying that Dr. Ford is just after publicity and fame. And then there are other people that are saying, hey, he's only a man. He made some mistakes. But this right here, this is him on his professional duties and he's not making any mistakes. His story or his findings has warrant to it. We have to wait to see what happens. But in closing this video, I'm going to tell you this. Fratricide is something that is very real, okay? It's a dangerous job. Anybody you see out there doing police and soldier jobs, it's a dangerous job and they can very well end up killing one of their own by accident. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Let's talk more about this one. Do you believe what Dr. Ford found to be true? Are you one of the people who think that this soldier, this young soldier, wasn't seasoned to the group yet and should not have seen what he saw, therefore they got rid of him? Or do you think that things went down exactly as it was first reported, that it was from gunman's bullets that the soldier died? The soldiers were fired upon, and in the process of being fired upon, the soldier died. So he lost his life in combat. He lost his life on the battlefield. He lost his life doing what he signed up to do. Or do you think that Dr. Ford is just after publicity and he is stirring the ants' nest for whatever reasons there might be? Maybe to milk more money out of the family so they can go further, or whatever the case may be. Talk up, and I'll catch you on the next video with SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.